Hey guys, Sylvia here. This is the first video that I'm actually filming that's not just like a vlog where I have a brand new piece of jewelry to be sharing with you guys. So if you catched my last video, you'll know that I am now engaged to my lovely fiance or boyfriend of 6 and something years. And of course I am so thrilled. We've been living on this like newly engaged happy vibes recently and it's been great. And we're both so excited. Well, I mean, I'm excited. I can't speak for him, but I think that we're both really excited to be going on this journey of like planning our wedding, going through all the wedding things, and then having kids and starting our life in that way. There's just a lot of really new exciting things for us. And I'm also really excited to share it with you guys as well. I mean, I got so many heartwarming messages when we did get engaged with people who said they've been watching me grow up for years. I realize there's some people who've literally been watching me since I was in high school, and here we are almost 10 years later. I'm engaged, and I hope that you guys will enjoy continuing following my journey. I don't have a lot of friends in real life, and in this like weird thing, it's nice to have people be happy for you. And because I don't have a lot of friends, I feel like I don't experience that very often, and when I experience that through you guys, it's really nice and it's heartwarming. Okay, but let's get down to business because I know what you guys are here for. I have been asked questions about my ring, the process, what to know, all of these things on my Instagram and more. We're gonna sit down and walk through the whole process of how this engagement ring came to light. So to start off, I think that everyone's engagement ring journey is very personal and very separate to each couple and how they decide to want to do it. Some women don't want to be part of the process at all, and this probably isn't the video for you. Some women kind of want to be involved, like dropping some hints here and there, and you have other women like me who want to be very involved. So I was very much involved in my engagement ring process, and that's exactly how Ty and I wanted our situation to be. We've been together for a really long time. We know the dynamics of our relationship. He knows I'm very detail oriented. I'm very picky. I am very controlling in a lot of aspects, and I know that it stresses him out to deal with planning of things. He's a very chillax type of person. It makes him very uncomfortable and stressed to have a lot of pressure on him on such an important thing. So it's not like we sat there and decided, hey, we're gonna do this together, but like it just kind of naturally happened that way. Like we started looking at engagement rings together, and we found someone that we really liked to work with for the engagement ring. And then near the end, it kind of just organically came together to know when I should take a step back so that part of it could be a surprise still. I think what a lot of people are wary of is that if they're very involved, that it wouldn't be a surprise for them anymore. And honestly, it did not at all take away from the surprise because I didn't know when it was gonna happen. And I actually didn't even see the final ring, even though I designed it. When it came out and I saw it in person when he was proposing to me, it like took my breath away because it was just beyond expectations of what we rendered together when I was designing it. Okay, so let's take a couple steps back. So Ty and I knew that we wanted to get engaged sometime this year, so we decided to start looking at some rings. I think I knew from the very beginning that I didn't want a branded ring, so nothing from Tiffany & Co. or Harry Winston or Cartier or anything like that. But at the end of the day, I just wanted to get like the most quality rock that I could get for the budget that we had. And if you're going with a branded engagement ring, a lot of the times they will mark up the price simply because it's a brand named thing, just like how it is with a lot of designer items. So as an example, Kimber Fire, the jeweler that I went with for my ring, they showed me a custom ring they made for a client that's very similar to a setting of the classic Tiffany setting. And when we looked up the diamond specs on the Tiffany website, it was almost double the price at Tiffany for the same grade diamond and similar type of setting. So I just did a quick search for diamonds on Tiffany that were close to my 2.05 carat eye color VS2 excellent cut ring, and these two popped up. The price of the 1.8 carat is already more than mine. So if they had something that was around the same carat size as me and other specs, it would probably be again close to double of the price that I paid at Kimber Fire. But for some people, the brand might really be a part of what's important to them. Like I've heard of stories of how some girls have just always dreamed of having a Tiffany ring, and that's just like part of their happiness and part of what they want, and I'm not taking away from that at all. Each individual person cares about different things when it comes to anything that we purchase, so there's definitely no right or wrong way to approach this. It's whatever you are going to be happy with. So because I knew that I didn't want to pay the typical retailer markup, I think combined with the fact also that I honestly just didn't really see a lot of ring designs that I really fell in love with. So that's what led us to the custom jeweler route, where we knew we weren't going to be paying for any brand name markups, and also I was able to customize the ring exactly the way I wanted because I'm so detail oriented. I had everything in my mind already. I just could not find something out there that would please me. We looked online as well, but most of the stuff was in the US anyways, and we would have incurred, you know, duties and whatnot bringing it over to Canada, and also again not really a lot of styles that I was really into. So I had Googled to look for a bunch of different custom jewelers within the Toronto area. There were about like 3 top ones that had like all 5-star ratings, and a friend of mine also got engaged not too long ago. I remember seeing her ring and being like, that is so beautiful, and it's literally almost the same type of ring that I want. She got hers done at Kimberfire, and Kimberfire was one of the top 3 that I found when I was looking at custom jewelers in Toronto. So we went to our Kimberfire appointment, and our jeweler was Michael, and the very first appointment was actually quite long. It was like an hour and a half-ish, but he gave us so much information, was really invested in like telling us all the detail, and I didn't even feel like the appointment was salesy or pushy at all. Like, he spent that time to go through everything with us, not knowing whether even we would want to spend money at the end of the day with him or not, because, you know, it was our first appointment. There were no promises or guarantees being made. It was a free consulting session. He didn't try to push anything on us. It was literally just like, here are all the educational facts to be had. This is not sponsored, by the way. They did not know who I was going into it. They did not ask for this video. They don't even know that this video is coming up, so just so you guys know. What I liked off the bat was that Michael was really respectful of the budget that was put forth and not trying to like upsell you on anything. So if you tell him what your budget is, he will show you like the best you can get into your options and try to make you the most happy within your budget. He's not going to try to like show you stuff above your budget to try to get you to spend more or anything like that. Like, super respectful of being realistic but still trying to make you really happy within your budget. I remember walking away from that appointment and telling Ty like, wow, I'm actually really surprised he didn't show us anything that was above the budget, because I feel like typically when you go into a retail store, they always want to show you like the bigger option so you can ooh and ah over it, and it makes you like, it fucks with your head because you're like, oh shit, wait, do I want to then spend an extra 10K on something like this? And they kind of like plant that seed on you, which makes you like kind of double think and maybe regret like the decisions you're putting forth or the budget that you came in with. We definitely had a lot to think about coming out of that, because I initially came in just being like, listen, I know exactly like the style of ring I want. I want a 2-carat diamond round, and that was kind of my vision going into it. But there was just so many other factors to consider. Like, of course you know about the 4 C's, but it's like, what do these things really mean, and like what does it mean laddering up to the diamond that you end up choosing? So after my initial appointment there, I posted on Instagram, and then I had a few people message me and say that they also got their ring from Kimberfire and they loved it. So it kind of just validated that for me, which is why I think we then went on for our second appointment with him. Our second appointment was actually a little bit later down the road. I think it was almost like 2 months later or something. There was quite a bit of time in between that. By appointment 2, we had a clearer vision of what we were looking for. It was definitely hard when Michael was sending us options for diamonds, because, you know, you're kind of giving and taking in all these different levels. Maybe you get one that's a larger carat, but the clarity isn't as good, or the color isn't as good, and the prices are just so different depending on the different grades of everything. There's just a lot to look at, but you kind of have to realize like what is a priority to you and what isn't. The good thing about Kimberfire is that they have a standard across the board for the types of diamonds that they sell, so they won't sell you a diamond that's below like their standard, and they sell only GIA graded diamonds. GIA is the most well respected and well known diamond grading system, I guess, in the world. So what a lot of people don't know is that carat size doesn't always dictate the actual how big your diamond looks. So just to give you guys an example, the last 3 diamonds I was looking at was a 2-carat, another 2-carat, and then a 2.05 carat. But the width of what the diamond looks like from the top were all different. So technically you could have a more shallow but wide diamond that's a lower carat but could look the same width size as something of a higher carat that just is more like more deep and less surface space, if that makes sense. So originally when I went in, I thought I was just gonna choose whatever had the largest width space because I wanted it to look nice and big, obviously. But I actually ended up choosing out of the top 3, the one that had the smallest width space but the largest carat size. So I went with the 2.05 carat size, which was the largest out of the 3, but it was the smallest surface size. The reason why I went with that is because when I looked at the dimensions of the diamond as a whole, I just felt like the dimensions were more ideal when it comes to the sparkle and the way that it reflects. So the way that the diamond sparkles and reflects really has to do with the proportions of the diamond, because it's like the reflections of how the light comes in and bounces off everything. So I actually did my own calculations because GIA really only grades up to excellent cut. That's like their top cut. But there's also something called the super ideal cut, which is not GIA graded, but people say that that cut is like the most ideal cut for a round diamond for it to like really shimmer a lot more. And I watched a lot of videos that showed an excellent GIA cut diamond against a super ideal diamond, and I could really see how much more the super ideal diamond was reflecting. So I looked up what the super ideal cut proportions were from a bunch of different sources. I came up with my own formula of like how the numbers like went together. Guys, it's crazy, but I swear to God it worked, because every super ideal diamond, the formula came out to equal like 1.6 something 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 or something like that. I don't remember exactly. I wish I did, but I don't remember. And then the ones that were like excellent cut GIA graded would fall in somewhere around like 1.5, 1.4, 1.7, but like all the ones that were considered super ideal fell into like the 1.6. So when I had my top 3 diamonds, I did my formula on the proportions. And I know someone's gonna ask me for what my formula was, but I do not remember, and I'm sorry, I should have written it down. But I mean, it's not really like certified or anything like that. It's literally something I made up myself. And out of the top 3, the only one that equaled the 1.6 was this one. And I was like, you know what? My formula is not certified by anyone, but I'm gonna believe in myself and choose this one because the width differences between all 3 weren't like big. Michael told me the difference was like the width of a hair, so not a huge difference. I'm like, I might as well just go for the one that's gonna sparkle the most. So yeah, that's what I ended up with, and I would like to think that my diamond's pretty damn sparkly. So the other C's, clarity and color, were not as important to me. I thought they were going to be, but after speaking with Michael and then doing my own research, it just wasn't as important as long as it was above this threshold that they have. And once you're above the threshold, it's honestly not noticeable to a naked eye at that point, like the differences between those. So my clarity is VS2, and you would not be able to tell with a naked eye like any inclusions or anything in there. I think when it comes to clarity, it actually matters more about like what the inclusions are and where they are rather than the amount, because you can have a diamond that is a lower grade clarity, but all the imperfections are around the edges where it's going to be covered by the claws anyways, versus a diamond that has a higher clarity grade, but the one imperfection that it has is like in a spot where it's reflected throughout the diamond. So when you look at it from the top, you see this imperfection reflected in other places. So yeah, really to me the clarity is more about looking at where it is and what it is, and having a jeweler that can help identify those things. Michael really helped a lot with the clarity. He would look at some and be like, oh, I can tell right away that's in a spot that's going to reflect, or that's in a spot that's not going to matter at all. The color was actually really hard for me to end up deciding on. I did a lot of research because they sell anything from I and above, so between I to D is what Kimber Fire sells. From GIA grading, J to G is near colorless. So I was looking at a couple diamonds between I, H, and G to see if there would be a color difference, and really like you cannot tell. You can't really tell a difference until you're getting into like the colorless, which is like a D grade color. Then it's like, okay, like you can tell. But the price difference for me was so much from each color grade that it just wasn't worth it. I think between like an I to a G was almost like 10 grand more. And I watched videos on videos comparing different color diamonds, and yeah, it just wasn't as important to me, because unless I was going to invest the money in a D color diamond, anything between I to G was like the same and not worth the price difference. Also, in the way that people look at your diamond, which is like this on top, you cannot tell a color difference. You can only really tell a color difference when you're looking at it from the side, where you start to see the tint a little bit, but even so, it's in certain lighting. And no one is looking at your diamond like this. Whenever they show you the difference in color, they always take a loose diamond, they flip it upside down, because that's the best way you can see it. But like if you flip it upwards, it's so hard to tell a difference to the naked eye. So I decided that color could be a sacrifice for me, and I went with an I plus. Actually, it's called an I plus because it looks like an H, but it technically doesn't classify as an H. So for the shape of the diamond, that was pretty easy for me. I always knew I wanted a round diamond. It's just what looked best on my hand. I had tried other shapes before, and really just the way that my fingers are, the way that my nails are shaped, the roundness of my cuticles, I just knew that a round shape would fit best. But if you guys are looking to save money and go for a higher graded diamond or even like a larger diamond, choose literally any other shape but round, because round is the most expensive by far. Michael was telling me that if I basically wanted any other shape, he could have gotten me well beyond a 2 carat with the budget that I had, but I have no regrets. I've always liked a round diamond from the very beginning. So I think you just have to find a balance of like where you want to be with your diamond. You're obviously not going to be able to get everything at the top. I mean, you could if you had the money. So I think that's all I have to say about the diamond itself. But if you have any questions, leave it below and I'll try to address them. So once we chose the diamond, we were able to move on and design the actual ring and its setting. There's just so much to consider with the setting that I'm not going to even touch all of them here, but I will describe to you guys the specifics that I had for my ring. So I wanted a cathedral setting, meaning that it would go up like this, the band goes around like this, rather than just like that with the setting sitting on top. I wanted to lead up to it, and I wanted a trellis setting, meaning that the sides interlock this way. I specifically wanted 6 prongs because I felt like a 4 prong on a round diamond actually kind of made it look more cushion or square-ish, and I didn't want that. I wanted the diamond to look very round, so 6 prongs it was. And then I wanted the prongs to be round because I felt like with the rectangular prongs it looked too much like an anchor with the 6, and then with the claws were just a bit aggressive for me, so I like the rounded look. And then another thing I ensured I wanted was the tapered band look. Instead of having the band be the same size all the way through, I wanted to go like this and then taper into be skinnier once it went right under the diamond, so the diamond could really pop against the tapered ring more. And then Michael told me that with the taper, sometimes when you put the wedding band on, it leaves like a little bit of a gap at the top, which I didn't want. So then he told me that he could fix that by bringing the setting up a little bit higher so that the wedding band could sit more flush right up against the engagement ring so that there wasn't that gap. A really hard choice for me to make was whether I wanted a pavé setting or a plain band, because I felt like with the plain band you really let the diamond pop a lot more, and I was scared that the pavé was going to take away from the main one. But then I thought about what it would look like with my wedding band, and I knew that I wanted my wedding band to have diamonds on it, and I like the look of 2 diamond bands beside each other. I didn't like the look of a diamond band and a plain band, so that's kind of what made me just decide to go with the pavé, because the 2 diamond bands stacked together is what I preferred. I knew I wanted to go with a pretty thin band and tapered because my fingers are really skinny and I could not handle like a thick ring. I like the idea of a really chunky thick band with like diamonds all around it, but it just doesn't look good on my hand, so I went with something nice and thin and more delicate. I think we went through about 2 or 3 revisions when it came to the renders. So he would send me the renders that the studio would put together. I would make my edits. Like at first the cathedral was too wide and I wanted to be more like closer together, so I did that. And then the arms were too high, so I moved it lower because I wanted the diamond to pop more. So I went really into detail about all those things, and I wanted my ring to be perfect because I had envisioned it in my mind to be perfect. Once I approved the renders, at that point is when I stepped back and had no more communication with Michael, and I had Ty communicate with him, and I was like, yep, I don't know when it's gonna be ready. I don't know what the final thing is gonna look like because it's custom made, obviously. So yeah, that's when I stepped back. I was nervous that me designing the ring and being so involved that I wouldn't feel surprised or overwhelmed with that feeling when you see it, and that was not at all the case. Because I was dealing with renders and not the real thing, when I saw it in person, I was like so stunned. It was so beautiful, and like I could cry again thinking about it, but it was more beautiful than I could ever imagine. I will admit right now, when the renders came in, I was really nervous because I was like, this looks so chunky and ugly, and Michael had warned me that the renders are just what it would look like coming out of the mold, and then they go through the polishing and the cutting down of all the metal and stuff, and it would become a lot more daintier and whatnot because the render is only showing you what it is when it comes out of the mold or the machine or whatever it is. And I remember messaging my friend who also had her ring done by Kimber Fire, and I'm like, girl, give me some reassurance here. She told me not to worry, that it would come out beautiful. And I was like, okay, Jesus, take the wheel because I don't know right now. And when I saw it, I was truly blown away. It was beyond my expectations. It came out beautifully. It was just so delicate and glistening and perfect. It was so detailed. Every single detail I had about the ring was perfect. I look at the setting now and the way that I changed the setting, I'm so happy I did those minor adjustments and details to the initial render because it just sits perfectly exactly the way I want it to. Yeah, it's exactly what I wanted. And now that I think about the whole process, what I loved about it the most was that Ty and I actually had a lot of fun going through this together. It was fun to sit there and talk about the ring and like talk about the design and talk about what we think would look good. Like it was fun to go through that and do that together. And I think we both feel very much in love with the ring because we were both so involved with it, and we both knew that we like made this thing. We made this baby. And that's why I feel even more attached to it because it's custom. Like I designed this. It's exactly the design I wanted, and I know that no one else out there has this exact same thing because I tweaked every single little detail to make it fit for what I was looking for. It's just like a part of me now. I love it. I love it a lot. I do want to shout out Michael at Kimberfire. He was so patient. I asked a lot of questions. I was super detailed and annoying probably about a lot of things. We went through a lot of different diamond options. I had so many questions and I needed his recommendation and opinion on things, and he was really patient and honestly not biased in any way. When he would tell me about his opinion and recommendation, none of it felt like he was trying to sell me anything. It was like his literal own personal feelings and very like objective, which I think could be hard when you work in a sales environment, but I seriously felt zero bias from any of the answers that he was giving me when it came to my questions. Okay, I think that's the whole process. I think I've covered the process of it all. I could always talk more about the diamond picking process because that process took me a while. There was a lot of ups and downs. There was like a diamond that I wanted that then like was on hold and couldn't get, and I had to pick something else, and then the other diamond came back. It was a little bit dramatic, but I think this video is already way too long as it is. So I hope you guys get a gist of kind of what we went through. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thumbs up if you lasted all the way here. If you have any other questions, I'll be happy to answer. I love talking about rings and diamonds, and I want to go through the whole process again. It was so much fun. It was just so fun to go through that process and like look at the diamonds, and yeah, it was fun. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video. Follow me on Instagram if you want to keep up otherwise, and yeah, see ya.